with a worldwide focus. And so although we started it this year, we won't report on that till next year. So we get a full year of membership. And this is in hopes to support diversity within the society. We went ahead and signed a new contract for our conference planners for 2021 and 2022, and that will be Wellington, who also does our association management company, so it should help tie everything together. We've had a special issue for Jesse organized on disaster research that we organized through the Publications Committee. There's also currently a special issue on health equity. I'll just put a plug for that. And then we've been working on our chapters policies. We're currently working with a lawyer on finalizing those, as well as membership policies that have been listed in our bylaws but never finalized before. We've updated our bylaws this year. We did a whole overhaul last fall that was successfully voted on. And then we had to pivot in April and transition our entire annual meeting to a virtual meeting. And then we've also been working on some new marketing and promotional strategies, including we've done some Facebook Live, we've been doing some paid social media, and 2019, 2020, we have transitioned to Wellington as our association management company. Some additional things that we've done during my presidency, since I will be stepping down in December, these are some of the same ones I think that we had on the previous slide. So the only new big accomplishment, and I really want to shout out for Nicole, and I hope she'll give us a more detailed update, is on our monthly webinars. Those have really taken off, and it seems during the pandemic they've been especially important for people to connect. Next slide. So I'll go briefly through the strategic plan that we finalized in February to give everybody an idea of what we're kind of focused on for the next 5 years. Next slide. So here are the 4 goals, and then we'll go through kind of some of the initiatives for each one of them. But I really want to thank the team that put this together. We spent a lot of time refining these goals. Our first goal, I think, is perhaps the most obvious, but to advance the discipline of exposure science through education, advocacy, and collaboration. We also, for goal 2, want to broaden our society by growing membership with an emphasis on global student new researcher and discipline expansion. So please give us any thoughts you have on that. In particular, developing countries is an area where we know we want to work. Goal 3 will be to create a diverse and international community of exposure science professionals that is welcoming, collaborative, and nurturing across our government, academic, and private sectors. This was really focused on our ISES family, how we're able to support each other and be there for each other, and what it's like to come to kind of like to a family reunion when you come to one of our conferences. And goal 4 was to maintain the relevance, impact, resilience, and sustainability of ISES to create current and future generations to the implementation of administrative financial structures and processes that are efficient and promote growth. So this was really to help us kind of grow up as a society and put in place a little bit more structure to how we do our budgeting and our organization of the society. All right, next slides. So what I have on here are all the different initiatives listed under each of our goals and which committee is tackling them in case any of them is something that you particularly are interested in helping us think through and implement. That would be the committee that we would want you to join and participate on. But so under communications, we're really starting to work on how can we execute an ongoing educational marketing campaign on the importance of exposure science. Unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic gives us some opportunity to really focus on what exposure science is and how it can help protect our communities and our families. So it's been a time where we've done a lot of awareness on it. We want to partner with other scientific associations with similar mission statements and values as experts in the field of exposure science. A lot of the really large other scientific organizations such as SOT and American Geophysical Union are developing exposure science sections within them. And so we want to make sure that we stay relevant and connected with them and leverage it to grow the field. One of the areas we really hope to work on is establishing a resource center within the website where we can kind of have a bunch of papers and research and documentaries and other sources of information that could be housed at a centralized location for our society. We hope to continue growing our webinar series and maybe expanding it to podcasts in a way to help it promote the field and how it applies to other disciplines. We still need to keep promoting GSE as our premier journal for the publishing of exposure science papers. I know we will have some updates about the journal in a minute, but we wanted to continue to grow and become that journal that everybody goes to for exposure science and to keep that title. We also want to grow our annual meeting and promote our meeting as the premier meeting for the exposure science research and figure out better ways to promote and recognize the research done by our members and when they win awards and other ways to recognize them to help promote exposure science. So some of the things we're thinking about how to broaden the membership. Like I said, we're going to start working on an overarching membership acquisition strategy and timeline, especially for focusing on developing countries where we know exposures are their highest. And may really be a great way to expand our membership. We don't have very many from those countries at the moment. We also want to build upon what ISES has always been known for, which is our student and researcher initiatives to increase membership of these early career scientists, provide them with mentorship. We want to keep thinking about what are other disciplines that utilize exposure science and develop partnership with them as a way to grow our membership. What we really want to hear from all of you are great ideas about what could be new member benefits that could help encourage people to want to join ISCS. This year, much of our courses, for example, from the conference will be held behind the membership wall, so that if people want to access them later, they could join as a member to do so if they're not already one. We want to think about additional growth opportunities for our annual meeting and how to partner with other organizations or perhaps think of markets where we haven't been before. And then we're hoping to increase our membership through chapter expansion once we finish formalizing the new chapter structure. And then we're hoping through GSE we can identify new members that publish in that journal but aren't yet members of the society. Next slide. As part of working on building our sense of community and family, we're hoping to really continue to grow that mentoring culture within ISCS and expand the mentorship program. So many of you have served as great mentors over the years, but we're beginning to realize that maybe mid-career scientists would like a mentor. Some of us are transitioning different job types. It doesn't just have to be for those at the beginning of their career. We are hoping to work on some additional ways to recognize and reward and celebrate our member excellence when they get significant publications or grants, and to really highlight these opportunities and establish additional networking opportunities for members to further advance their career outside the annual meeting, maybe some kind of online presence now that we're all used to working this way, where we can kind of work on building leadership or peer-to-peer mentoring. And again, work on developing professional development program. We keep being asked by students and new researchers for additional skills outside of exposure science that we could also assist them with. And then we want to think about events at the annual meeting. Unfortunately, this year we weren't able to do it as much as we were hoping to, where we can really have social events that really help develop that relationships and build family and community, and really welcome new members, maybe a new member event or some place like that where we can really celebrate diversity and build relationships. Next slide. And then finally, like I said, this is kind of our worker bee slide, but it's really about kind of restructuring our budget and figuring out how to better organize it in a way that links the conference budget to the overall budget possibly more. We want to consider establishing the annual meeting as a function for the board, where we can have some additional oversight by the board, but also still give lots of decision-making flexibility to the annual meeting organizers. And then we want to ensure that all of our articles of incorporation, our bylaws, our budgets, policies, procedures, all of that is documented. All the historical stuff is documented, and we're still working on, I think, even going through some additional paper boxes of stuff from the past. And then we're considering how to reorganize the committee structure to kind of make it more efficient. And then we are working with our chapters to update the structures and guidelines to benefit the society and support the chapters under the 2020 strategic plan. So next slide. So that's our strategic plan in a nutshell. Where we've been making some updates would be to, we've been really working on these webinars and podcasts, and they've been hosted. We want to get more of them internationally so that we can continue to build different audiences and continue growing on them. And this year has been great. We also did a Facebook Live in Spanish that was pretty fun with Ana, Leslie, and I. We're going to continue to promote nominations for our annual awards. This year that was successful for us outside organizations and ways to identify some of our additional members. And consider how to better promote our annual award winners with affiliates and outside organizations, and continue looking for additional funding opportunities related to exposure science. We continue working on enhancing our member benefits. And like I said, this is still an area that we want to think for additional ideas and think outside the box. Or what are things that would make people really become a member of ISES? So we're working on our community forum for members to collaborate and connect outside the annual meeting. We're working for additional in-person experiences, maybe regionally, although not during the pandemic, hopefully in the future, and maybe additional member benefits at various stages of career. And then we're beginning to work with our regional chapters. Are there specific focused member benefits by region? Next slide, please. And then we're still working on our chapters, and we'll have an update in a minute, but we have identified some additional ways to streamline our chapters, and that will be part of our bylaws vote this fall. And we are working with some lawyers to implement more formalized structures than we've had in the past. We're also working on trademarking our organization. Yep, next slide. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa, our treasurer, for her financial report. Unless anybody has any questions on the strategic plan. All right, go ahead. We'll turn it over to Lisa. Feel free to put questions into the chat, or I don't know if there's a Q&A.
Right, there's a really
I love all the chats. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Melnick, and as part of our bylaws, it's our responsibility to share with the membership our financial status. So this year, we approved a budget in January. That budget included 499 members, and that's all different types of members combined. We also approved a budget with a $20,000 deficit. We did this knowing that this particular conference was going to be financially successful. Of course, that was pre-pandemic, but I think we're still, fingers crossed, going to have a good meeting. And so we felt as a board that we could sustain the $20,000 deficit because of the good meeting. So we are currently running at a deficit. Unfortunately, our membership has not reached our budgeted goal, and that significantly impacts our revenue. Our revenue includes not only membership, but also a fee from the meeting, and then some income from Jesse. Right now, our deficit does not include any annual meeting revenue. So hopefully, even though, as stated, we're down about $100,000, hopefully that will improve after the meeting and because of our great increase in memberships. Next slide. This is our budget for the year. This is our revenue. I think I included everything on this. It's pretty straightforward. We expect to have a certain number of members in the different categories. There are only 4. We have revenue that comes in from Jesse, and then our conference revenue. There's a little bit of additional revenue from advertising and donations or conference support. But overall, our revenue is a little over $130,000. On our next slide, you'll see the expenses that we have. Now I've condensed our expenses so that they would fit on the slide. But basically, oh, it looks like we've lost some of the bolded numbers. Oh, well, that's okay. Some of these are added together for a total. But you'll see that we have some hard costs, you know, our member database, some other operation costs. We have our accounting fee and our management fee. We do have some conference costs, our website hosting service, and we have quite a number of costs associated with awards. We as a board feel that it's very important for the society to support our membership by providing opportunities to get some awards, whether they be based on your career or travel awards. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to provide travel for this meeting, but I think our Student New Researcher Committee did a fine job in utilizing at least some of those funds. So that, I think that was good. And then our net overall expenditures is just over 150,000. So that's where we get our $20,000 deficit for the budget. And we're hoping that it will not end up at that point at the end of the year. Next slide. This is a comparison of the previous years. First, I want to point out that from 2014 to 2018, those numbers include the conference overall budgets. We had some good years, very good year in 2017 with respect to finances. So we were able to save quite a bit of money over the past couple of years. And that's significant when you get to last year, which was a financially disastrous year, unfortunately. But it's okay. We can withstand a bad year. We just can't withstand too many bad years. So hopefully, you know, by the end of this year, it won't be another bad year. If we continue on this path of bad years, we won't have a society. Unfortunately, we just don't have the funds to withstand these financial negatives. Next slide, please. So right now, our membership dues are about 90%. Again, thanks to the conference and a lot of people signing up. Unfortunately, not as many regular members as some others, but you know, we're getting there, so that's okay. We're seeing 70% of our overall budget with respect to the revenue. And with our expenses, we've already expended 76% of our budget. But you know, we're not to the end of the year yet, so I'm hopeful that it will turn around. Not again, I'm being optimistic, but I hope this demonstrates to you how very important your membership is, and I'm hopeful that you feel that your money is being well spent. In the last slide, you'll see that, you know, there are things that you can do to help with our financial situation. First and foremost is to maintain your membership. And we have, you know, lots of opportunities, lots of benefits that we think are great benefits for your cost and membership. Our membership fee is one of the lowest in the, according to other societies' membership costs. We encourage you to not only maintain your membership, but recruit a new member if you can, or 2 or 3, that would be great. And it would be great if you could get involved. And Paloma mentioned a bunch of committees and different opportunities that you could help with the society. I hope one of them appeals to you and you will help out. As the Finance Committee Chair, I would be happy to have more people join. It would be fantastic. We only meet quarterly, so it isn't a big time commitment. So I'll just put in a little plug for that. We do have volunteer opportunities. A lot of everything we do is done by volunteers. We have great people who put in their own time to get things done for the society. So become one of those people. You meet a lot of others and it's just great. And if there are any creative ideas out there and ways to generate revenue, please, please, please let me know. Send me an email, send somebody an email. It doesn't matter who. We need some creative ways of generating revenue and not be so reliant on having excellent annual meetings. Although we generally do have really good meetings, so that's not a bad thing, but we could use some additional ideas. So please send them along. Thank you. I think those are all of the slides that I have. So unless there are questions, and unfortunately, there were some chats that were going on that I didn't quite get to read while they were going through while I was doing it.
So Lisa, this is Dana Barr. I was wondering, can undergraduate students be members of ISES, and is there an opportunity for them to be involved in ISES as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have several committees. I'm sure even the Student New Researcher Committee, which generally you think of as grad students. I don't see why you couldn't get involved with that as an undergrad as well. Sure, sign them up.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I have a few undergraduate students who would be very interested in involvement in ISES.
That would be great. We've had some involved in the past, and some of them went on to, you know, lead activities at the conference and really get to network. So, I mean,
Yeah, the student rate for the meeting is for, you know, students still in school as well as advanced degrees, all levels.
so you also had a question from Rena, Lisa. It was, do we have a sense of how the various budget categories, revenue and expenses have been trending over the past 5 years or so? Perhaps it would help to highlight which areas that need more of our attention or effort versus less.
The area that needs our most attention is membership. It is our single most source of revenue that we currently have, that we rely on for everything. We do have a little bit of a fee from the annual meeting, of course, and if there is any quote unquote profit from an annual meeting, that's where you see those large numbers in the previous years where those came from. So that's really our biggest membership.
Yeah, so I think that's a great thing to highlight. I also wanted to point out if anybody knows of any grants we should be applying for, please let us know if you have experience in applying for them for a nonprofit society such as ours. We could use some more assistance with that too, right, Lisa?
Yes, absolutely. And we've tried to come up with some ideas and where we could apply for grants. But it isn't just the ideas of coming up with where to apply for grants, but we also need those people who are willing to put in the effort to write the grants. Unfortunately, as a federal employee, I cannot do that myself. So if there's any other individuals willing to help with that, please, please let me know. We will definitely put you to work.
That would be great. And I also want to remind everybody that we do actually have a donate button too on our ISES page. I know that this has been a financially difficult year for most of us here at my university as well. But if anybody feels so inclined and wants to assist in society and help support, a lot of these revenues are used for our students and researchers for the travel awards. That would be great. And we are also listed on Amazon as one of the nonprofits that you can support through smile.amazon.com.
I did see the question about the NIEHS grant. I believe we did try and apply for that, but something went wrong and we were not successful.
Yeah, so some of the grant applications that we've had in the past, like NHS, help support some of the activities at the conference. Our sponsorship has also been down this year as everybody's struggling. So if you think of new ideas for sponsors that perhaps have not traditionally been involved in ISES, but are related to exposure science. For example, we tried reaching out to Clorox. I don't think we ever found the right person, but there's definitely other areas that we could use ideas or advice from people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Nicole Tolby, and I will be giving the membership report. Thank you for that intro, Lisa. So let's, next slide, please. So this slide gives you an idea of what our membership has looked like and how the numbers have trended over the last 5 years. I think the most important number is probably the one in green, which is the current year. It's 2020. And as you can see, we're actually up around 454 members, I think, currently. And we still have several months of the remainder of the calendar year to go with. So I think we're doing really well in regards to our member recruitment, in regards to retaining members, as well as recruiting new members. Next slide. So this is what our membership demographics looks like and how it breaks down. As you all may recall, I think it was 2 years ago, the membership committee was tasked with adding in emeritus, well, not emeritus, but developing country and developing country for and students. And so this is how it looks right now in regards to how people are classifying themselves when they join the society. The cool thing is that we have 18 emeritus members. God bless those folks. We really need to tap into that knowledge. You know, they're technically retired from their primary discipline, but that number has been growing every year. When I first started, we only had about 10 emeritus. So we have almost doubled the number of emeritus that are staying engaged with the society. And we really should be tapping into those folks somehow. Next slide, please. And then the other thing I'd like to point out is we keep track of where everyone is from. So this shows how our demographics break down across the globe. Most of our membership is from North America, but we have folks from every other continent on the globe, except Antarctica. Next slide. Okay, so somebody changed these slides a tad bit. There was a slide in here that actually showed how the membership was changing with like the hardcore numbers from year to year. I do think, to follow on what Lisa was saying about the funds, we have a very high fluctuation in regards to membership from year to year. I'm not sure what the reason is for that and why, but that is something we need to think about in regards to our the overall health of the society and the overall long-term health of the society is we don't seem to maintain the same level of membership from year to year. It changes by up to hundreds of people in any given year. So that's something to think about for the long term. So in regards to some of our activities that we're moving forward with in the next calendar year. So in January of 2020, we started the ISES webinar series, and it has been highly, highly successful. We have done 10 webinars to date, and those webinars have covered professional development topics as well as science topics. And the science topics have been very, very diverse in regards to what they have covered. The last couple of months, July and August, we've had 2 seminars a month on the coronavirus, and those have been very well received. And on average, so I remember I said there were 10 webinars we've done so far. On average, there have been about 65 participants. Remember, that's average. And there have been people from, on average, listening in from 6 countries on any given webinar. And we've had people listening in from pretty much every country you can think of. So the reach of this society through the webinar series is now very much worldwide. It's very cool to keep track of the demographics of where people are listening into when they listen to these webinars. So Paloma mentioned the social media campaign. We've been doing a paid campaign, and we want to expand that to keep the interest up on exposure science and the society itself. We keep the society website current. If there's things you see that you'd like on the website or other changes you'd like to see or propose, please reach out to someone in the membership committee. We're kind of the gatekeepers to the website. So we keep track of it, but we do keep it fresh. The membership committee is tackling an outreach campaign. So we are actually reaching out to all the members that have either expired or lapsed within the last like 3 to 5 years. And so we're reaching out to everyone individually. Obviously that's going to be a really long process over the next many months, but it's sort of to put that personal touch on asking people to reconsider their membership to the society. So we are working on that. And then we have a plan, as Paloma mentioned, with some of the strategic plan activities. The membership committee and the diversity committee will be working together to tackle some of those. And one of the big ones, of course, is international participation. And so I believe that's all I've got. Thank you.
Does anybody have questions for Nicole or any comments they want to give us on membership?
We have a few on the chat, Paloma.
I know there was some down there.
Sorry, we keep typing away, but I guess several of us were wondering, or maybe, I don't know, do you wanna go through them?
So Rima, do you want to give us the gist of your question?
I guess my thought was that every year, you know, whether you can go to the meeting really dictates, you know, whether you can pay for the conference charge itself, and usually try to bundle your membership with it and charge it to some project, whether you're a PI, let's say, you know, or working in industry or sponsoring a student. So I really wonder if, you know, at some point, any one of us who has a few extra minutes in a day, you know, if we could do an analysis somehow to try to see if where we're hosting the meeting is correlating somewhat with who are the people we're losing every year. And then can we target something to not lose those people, you know, or maybe encourage more of those types of people depending on, you know, limitations year to year. And not that we want to change everything every year, but, you know, I feel like John had a similar comment where for all of us, membership somewhat correlates with whether you can attend the meeting and pay for it, etc.
Yeah, that is true to some extent, and it's not really regionally based. It is more of what you just said. If you're attending the meeting, you make sure your membership status is in good standing, so you get the member rate when you pay your registration fee. The last couple of years, we've actually tried to decouple that so that they don't link together. So it's going to take a couple of years now to see if we're actually successfully doing that and just getting people to maintain their membership irrespective of whether they're attending the meeting or not. But we are trying to not have those links so strongly. Yes. Yeah.
And one of the things we've heard in the past too is that their companies will pay for the non-member registration, but not for their membership. And so that's part of why people haven't been renewing their membership. So we're trying to think, that's why member benefits.
Paloma, we can't hear you actually.
Yeah,
There you go. Now we can.
I think I was holding my computer the wrong way. It's not doing well. I was just saying that, we've heard in the past from many people who haven't been renewing their membership because their company will pay for the non-member registration. And so that's part of why we want to still keep thinking about what are, special member benefits that we can think of that will make people really want to stay and be a member beyond just the conference.
Is it possible to have the non-member registration plus an add-on for members so people can actually add on their personal finances?
Well, for many of us, depending on where you work, nobody pays for your membership rate unless you do. That's true for most United States government employees, for example. We have to pay our own membership. Our employer will pay for a registration, member or non-member, but they won't pay for a membership. What we have done to get people to be more incentivized to pay an actual membership is, if you look, the non-member rate is getting higher and higher. There's a strategy there. It actually is far above what your membership would be if you actually paid a member rate. Whoever is going to pay that rate, whether it's you as the individual or some other organization paying on your behalf. So we are trying to strategize things. And I will say, I think this webinar series must be resonating with people, because even in this very slow economic time, we've actually had brand new folks join the society in July and August who have never been members before. And I really think it's because the webinar series is reaching them in some way. It would be nice. We need to follow up with those folks and actually learn why they decided to invest their limited resources in the society, and really try to foster that and really keep people engaged now. Now it's our job as a society to make sure we keep people together, we keep people in the fold, and we keep people happy. And so we need to figure out how to do that.
So Nicole, we got a whole series of questions now. So from Anna, can we make first membership more expensive and renewing cheaper to encourage people to renew?
So that's actually something that the membership committee has been tasked with, is trying to be creative. Like, do we do, if you pay your membership dues for many years out, do you get a better rate than if you're just paying a year at a time? Look at what some of the other societies do in regards to different types of incentives. So we are starting to explore that. I don't know when we'll have a proposal back to the board, but it is something we're working on.
And then from Peggy Jenkins, is ISES showing leadership with exposure research and guidelines for COVID, climate change, and other key issues of the day? That's what attracts younger members. I think we've done some, but Nicole, you have some updates on that too.
Yeah, I mean, we've had quite a few webinars on the COVID topic, and it seems to be resonating with people. I mean, there's a lot of leaders. One of the cool thing, I forgot to mention this, is that actually all of the webinars are actually recorded with every presenter's permission. And so once it's done, it's actually put up behind the member shield. And so the only way to get it is if you're a member, so that you can actually pull it back down and look at it and have it there. So that's a nice piece of additional new current data that I think is attracting people also.
Couple questions from people about how often we're doing the renewal letters, and maybe Wellington can answer that. But I know personally I'm signed up for the auto renewal, and I still get the renewal letters, and it makes me jump in and double check it. So Wellington, how often are they getting emailed? At what point?
So they get the renewals come 60 days out, 30 days out, 10 days out, and then daily a few days before, I don't remember. And then we do communicate with them when they are in a grace period. So that's what happens when you're a current member. And then when you get into a grace period, you have about, I think it's 60 days to still renew your membership. And then you become an expired member. And when you're an expired member, we do have a marketing approach to that communication. Always continuing to keep them we don't inform them or anything, but we do market to them, to that group.
And then we have a question from John Adgate, which is a good question. I think we didn't present that, but what is our membership breakdown by percent government, academia, and private sector?
I can pull that up. I don't have it memorized.
I think academia is a little bit overrepresented, and then for private sector, we actually have to add up our private and corporate members, because those are both private.
Yeah, I had that in the slides that didn't get into this presentation, so somebody's got that somewhere.
Yeah, I'll go pull it up.
And then Elizabeth, you want to make an announcement?
Not an announcement, just a comment, guys. Sorry, I'm also helping with facilitate one of our ISES 2020 courses right now, so that's why I asked if I could run away for a second. I did want to just make the point to Peggy Jenkins and a few others. First of all, you probably hopefully have seen many of our members, including Paloma, including Anna and Leslie, and even myself, doing SciComm activities on COVID, promoting those in addition to the webinars. We've helped connect reporters and media to exposure scientists. So we are actually doing activities like that. And one thing I would dearly love is for everyone who's engaging with us right now to sign up for a committee or send us an email and say, we'd like to help, because there are only so many volunteers right now who are doing these great activities, and we could use more. And to Dana's point earlier, just really quickly, communications and outreach would love some engaged students, would love them. So we have all kinds of fun educational activities. So that's it, my little shout out.
That's a really great point, Elizabeth. If you are engaged with Twitter or Facebook and sharing and liking things, I think those have been really successful for us this year, our social media campaigns. And we are getting requests every day on how to do things safely. So people are willing to talk to reporters. The small group of us that are doing it can't do it all. I think the most recent one I got was one on how to trick or treat safely, and then our county canceled it. So I don't know if I'll be writing an article on that, but if other people want to do something, that would be a really relevant article that could be in the public media coming from some ISES members to think about how to elevate our field of exposure science. It was a big day when a colleague and I wrote an article on how to travel safely on an airplane, and it ended up on CNN's front page, the word exposure science. So, scientists, so that was pretty exciting just to see it. And I know Judy sent me a note when she saw that. We got way more. So let's see, from June, in addition to webinars, how are we doing in providing grant and job opportunities to SNRs? I believe those are on the website behind the member wall. Does anybody know?
Yes, we keep a current post. Anyone who sends us a job posting, it gets put up on the website, yes.
Yeah, and then this is a great
And we
idea.
also go research them. I was just going to say, we go find them for the students and new researchers.
Yeah, that's it. And then Hungju, you have a great idea here about developing an online exposure science course on Coursera or something else to provide a certificate. It'd be a great way to provide revenues. We know there's a lot of interest, particularly internationally, for something like that. So if somebody really wants to take that lead on, because it would really require a whole new task force to put that together, that would be.
No, that's one of our goals under communications and outreach, Paloma. Send them my way, please.
Okay, good. And then Len, a longer term strategy towards certification of exposure scientists, that would be great. We're really hoping to look forward to that. And then from Peggy, we will definitely, we haven't been quite as out as the indoor air scientists. I know we didn't organize to write, a letter of 200 scientists, but many of our members were signatories on that letter about airborne transmission. So any opportunities like that, please bring them back to the society. And the more we can get exposure science out right now, and also be of service. I mean, all of us have something we can do to help in the COVID pandemic. And yes, this year, Nicole and Anna organized our first webinar in Spanish. I think that was really well attended, and we've done some additional, like I said, Facebook Lives in Spanish. And so that was a lot of fun to talk about community protective equipment. So, and that's a good point, Anna. Most of us teach on exposure science, so we could easily put together some courses. I mean, maybe we could even consider building on Wayne Ott's book. It's been several years since he published that, but it could really be maybe a place. At one point, there was course materials that went along with that book on a website, so I could reach out to them. And then we have our pre-conference courses will all be available behind the membership wall. We need to find a way to advertise those, I think, in some ways, so that people realize that if they become a member, they can access those courses from this year. Those are, maybe they could even be assembled into a certificate program. That's a great idea. Any other questions for Nicole and membership? So some ideas of profit sharing, that would be great too. All of these are great ideas. We really need all your enthusiasm and involved. This is great. Lots of great ideas. Okay. Yes, we are on LinkedIn in multiple ways, in a closed and in an open group, and on Facebook and Twitter. Leslie, I think you finally got the link to work. You're joining us?
Here, yes.
Okay, Leslie, I'm here to give us an update on the bylaws.
So hi, everyone. So really briefly, so changes to the revisions to the bylaws can be submitted by any member or committee, and they have to be seconded by at least 5 members or more before they're presented to the board of directors to be presented before they go on to the general membership. And so we wanted to update everybody on 2 major bylaw updates that we were working on. One is, so previously we used to have institutional membership, but we got rid of it in 2019 because we didn't really have anybody using the institutional membership, but we're reinstating that again. And what we mean by that is that essentially like any university or organization can pay for institutional membership, and their fee would be the amount of members that they have. Like, let's say there's a university department that wants to pay for 10 of their faculty, then they would buy 10 memberships. Then there's changes to the chapter structure in order to make them more efficient. The chapters committee recommended, and the board of directors approved this, that the chapters align with the overall society, and this should be updated and revised. And this includes essentially making all members of the chapters a member of the overall society. Before, it was not a requirement that chapter members were a member of the general or the parent ISES, but we also feel that that would dissuade membership, and that would decrease membership for the, the society at large. And so this is a change that we want to implement, whereby if you're a chapter member, you have to also become the member to the general or parent ISES. And so those are the major updates for this year. Does anybody have any questions for us at this time? And these will go out, by the way, to vote to the general membership by September 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
We didn't get a whole flurry of chats. Does anybody have any questions or? All right. Sounds good. Hopefully the vote will go smoothly. We're going to turn it over now to Elizabeth Boyle for an update from the nominations committee. I saw her on earlier.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So the update on the nominations committee is that we are still looking for nominations for 2 positions for the board, treasurer and a secretary. And then all the other positions are, yeah, there you go. All the other positions, we actually have 2 now for academic counselor. There's been an update since just yesterday. And then secretary, there's 1 person that's been identified to run. So we need another candidate, and we need another candidate for treasurer-elect. And I think we have 2, although somebody's getting approvals from their supervisors for government counselor. So it's just the secretary and the treasurer-elect that I would like. additional nominations for. If anyone wants to nominate themselves to run for those positions, that would be great. Or if you know someone that you'd like to step up and participate in the board of directors, that would be wonderful too.
Great, thank you so much. So please think of anybody that you might, or if you're willing to participate in one of those ways. It's a great way to get involved in the society and help influence the decisions that we're discussing here today. And then I will pass it over now for Diversity Committee updates to Donghai and Anna.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I'm Donghai Liang, and I'm co-chairing the Diversity Committee together with Dr. Anna Ru. Today, we are very happy to be here and present an overview on our Diversity Committee activities in 2020. And Anna will then talk about plans for 2021. The mission for our Diversity Committee is to ensure the activities and membership of ISES are inclusive, draw from all segments of the society, and reflect fairness, diversity, and inclusion. As such, our committee members have led and coordinated several important initiatives and events for the 2020 ISES virtual meeting. This includes the Women's Networking event, which is being held on Tuesday, September the 22nd from 7 to 7:50 Pacific time in the morning. And this is a great opportunity and popular event to meet other female and colleagues of marginalized gender identities in the exposure science. And we encourage every one of you to sign up to attend this event if you haven't done so. We are also continue leading the travel award application. With the transitions of ISES 2020 to a virtual conference due to COVID-19, major efforts has been made to reduce the registration fees for students and new researchers, scientists from developing countries and scientists from underrepresented group at $65. And to further support students and new researchers from low and developing countries and or those who are experiencing extremely financial hardship due to the pandemic, we have established the virtual conference travel awards and eventually provided support for 13 award winners from 7 countries and regions to attend the annual meeting this year. We will be announcing and acknowledging these winners in the ISES award ceremony on Tuesday afternoon Pacific time. And we encourage everyone to attend the ceremony and join us in congratulating these winners. In addition, this year we have started leading the efforts in improving the conference accessibility, and we are in the process of making a guideline on adjusting accessibility in the future annual ISES meeting. At the meantime, we have also collaborated with the membership committee, and we have contributed to the first dual language ISES webinar last month. And we are planning an ISES webinar for Indian audience and another for the Chinese audience later in 2021. And there are also ongoing efforts to identify new areas of potential membership growth in the underrepresented countries and regions. And we are working on an official statement of inclusions. Anna.
Thank you, Donghai. So for plans for next year, we of course would like to continue to coordinate the events that happen at the annual meeting. We have had a very successful run now. This event was actually started by oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway. We plan to continue with the Women Networking event and the travel awards and accessibility, which we have Marsha leading this, Judy, of course, Judy, sorry. Judy Lekine started it, the Women's Networking event. And we've collaborating with ISES, the Student and New Researcher committees. We've also been working on the anti-harassment policy, which this year took a little bit of a backseat because our leader, Amruta, had a series of life-changing events. Like she defended and she married and she moved and on top of COVID. But we are planning on resuming next year and discussing with other societies regarding the development of reporting mechanisms. We're also always, trying to help recruit new members to the diversity committee. This year we recruited a new member, Caroline. I'm so bad with names. I shouldn't even be attempting to say names. And expanding outreach efforts with the member and chapters committees. And of course, continuing with the official statement of inclusion that we have started, and it's an ongoing process. It says continuing, but I think we're done. I think this is our last slide. I don't know if there's any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? There was a lot of stuff here in the chat, but it's mostly about our LinkedIn group. And so we can work on that. Send all comments on LinkedIn to Elizabeth, or better yet, sign up to be on her committee and be in charge of our LinkedIn group for the society. It'd be great if we could share some of those responsibilities. Does anybody have any questions for Anna and Donghai? All right, I'm gonna send it over to Eric then to talk about General Scientific Meeting Committee updates.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Hall, and I'm the chair of the General Scientific Meeting Committee. And our committee in other scientific societies would be called something like the Conference Committee. Next slide. We have regular meetings 6 times a year, and we show the months right there that we have meetings. The next one and the last one for the year is in November. We develop guidance for the technical operations committees that manage every annual meeting or joint meeting each year. We also review proposals for annual meetings and joint conferences, and we also solicit members to try to suggest cities for us. And the thing is, you don't have to live in a city in order to be on the technical operations committee, or or to suggest a city. And what we try to do in our committee is to be really, I see it as 2 things. We are the infrastructure for each annual technical operating committee, and we also try to serve as the historical repository for information regarding past conferences. And since this is our 30th year, somewhere there are 30 years worth of information on previous conferences. We maintain the handbook, which is the guidance to to the technical operating committees. Of course, we have regular meeting agendas and minutes with action items, of course. And on our base camp, we store this information. Oops. Can you go back 1 slide? Can you go back 1 slide?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it, Eric.
Okay. Okay, and on our base camp area, we store all of this information, like a prior annual meeting and joint meeting proposals, the scientific programs, hotel contracts, recruitment letters for the technical operating committee, subcommittees, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, and our accomplishments for this year, we've gotten board approval for Chicago being our 2021 listed city, COVID notwithstanding. Lisbon, Portugal has been approved for 2022. And we're reviewing the proposal for 2023, which is Adelaide, Australia. That's under review. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow to discuss some of the questions that we had and that they had from us. What are our plans moving forward? We want to get the 2023 proposal put to bed and underway. And at that point, we want to start planning for 2024 because our goal is to try to be at least 2 to 3 years out with respect to having cities lined up and proposals reviewed and approved by our committee and finally by the board. And that will give us flexibility so that we don't have to feel pressure and not have to, pressure our volunteer members to try to come up with cities, because now we can look a couple years ahead. Originally, we put it this way: one suggestion for 2024 is perhaps a joint one with ISEE in Beijing, China. We originally thought about that in 2021, but then a lot of things intervened. And right now, what I would suggest and ask for would be for other suggestions for cities for 2024 and beyond, if possible. And anybody that thinks they're interested and would like to join the General Scientific Meeting Committee, please shoot me an email if you want to join. You say you want to join, you're in. And thank you very much. And I think this should be the last slide for me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any questions for Eric? It seems like everything got, oh, Jonathan has a question. Any planning occurring for a virtual conference, even with vaccine, might be unlikely some attendees. So what's going on with 2021?
Right now, Wellington is in negotiations with our venue, and we're kind of going back and forth. And as a matter of fact, we have regular meetings to try to determine which way we're going to go.
And I think
on that.
Aaron is on. Aaron, did you have an update around that? Or Una, some of our co-chairs. Oh, maybe they've jumped off already.
Yeah, I don't see Aaron.
So Vivek, I see that you're on. Do you want to give us an update on the 2020 meeting?
Sure. Well, we've had our soft open for the 2020 virtual meeting on the LabRoots platform since Wednesday, and I'm in it right now, and I see a couple of you are in it alongside the Zoom meeting. We're open to feedback, even though we're at the 11th hour right now, and we officially kick off at 6 a.m. PST tomorrow. It's going to be 2 very, very long days of content, but just keep in mind that in the program we have distinguished what live components we will have in the program, and everything else you could take for granted will be pre-recorded and available for a year after. And at this point, just make the most of the virtual venue. We encourage you to interact with one another, reach out, go to some of the breakout sessions and the networking sessions, and we'll all make the most of what it is under the circumstances.
So I really want to thank you for all the work you guys have done to pivot, and it's been remarkable. And I heard today the registrations are actually up to 490, so the slide's already outdated, which is really exciting because that means they're not early bird registrations, and you guys did a great job with the fee structure to make non-member registrations quite a bit more. So hopefully that will be a new way for us to move forward. I see a question from Allison on instructions on how to access the virtual meeting materials. Is there an announcement you want to make about that? I noticed there was an email that came through.
Well, we'll have the program.
I'm typing them in, Vivek, right now,
okay.
The info about how to do it.
Great, thank you, Elizabeth.
Fantastic, thanks, Elizabeth.
In the chat. Any other questions? Amina wanted to know program for the meeting tomorrow. I think that Elizabeth will put that in the chat too, I'm assuming. So it looks like we have a great number of student members, developing country members that are joining us as well. So make sure you reach out to them and give them some shout outs and go see their posters and ask them questions? Are there other ways that people can interact with some of these that we want to let people know? I think there's the women's networking event. There's a mentorship event, right? Networking event. Anything else?
There's a student and researcher happy hour, Monday night, the women's networking event. And then, oh my gosh, off the top of my head, there's a third one, but I can't
It's a
remember.
game. There's a game night.
There's the quiz. They're having a quiz at the happy hour. We've got the speed networking event. We've got the women's networking event. We have actually a really exciting event on Tuesday. I think it's already booked all the way up. There was so much demand on decolonizing air pollution science. So we have all sorts of really fun add-on activities, but I also want to say we have these chat rooms, the focus topics, open topics. You actually, in this platform, have the ability to start, if someone accepts, a chat, either video or audio, with any other participant who's in the meeting. So Vivek mentioned he's in the platform. If we're in the platform, we could start chatting there at any time. So I really want to encourage you to play around with the platform. This will be sort of a sneak surprise announcement. I don't think a picture made it into this presentation, but one of the prizes you can win is your choice of some ISES swag. So this will be the first way people can get their hands on some ISES swag if you continue to play games and engage at the virtual meeting. So I want to encourage you to do all of the activities at the meeting. We're actually rewarding you. It should be its own reward, but we're going to reward you on top of that with a free membership or a prize like a Made in California gift basket or equivalent gift certificate or ISES swag. So please have fun, engage with it.
There's a scavenger hunt, right?
That's part of it.
Leaderboard. So I heard Lisa, our treasurer, is at the top. She wants to stay there.
That's right. Don't play.
So let's make it interesting and exciting. So it looks like we have 37 countries represented. Our courses were wildly successful. And like I said, they're going to be available behind the membership wall for those that are members for the next, I don't know how long. We'll see.
And Paloma, one more thing, it's Vivek. I'd encourage everybody who's attending to just upload your personal profile picture. Let's put names with faces and represent ourselves well in the meeting. Otherwise, everybody's just some random protozoan or something, which is the default.
So we'll put our faces up so we're not just playing The Sims, huh?
But you know, I tried and I couldn't figure it out. So maybe a quick.
Anna, there are two different ways to do it. One is on the launch screen and one is actually within the platform. So if one isn't working for you, try the other.
Okay.
Yeah, Anna, if you go under your settings in the platform, the gear, and just do edit registration info and scroll down, there'll be an option to upload a picture.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, so we will keep going. It looks like, Elizabeth, there's another chat to you about some info. So I'm going to give some updates for some of the groups that couldn't be here. This year, we established our second work group, the International Human Monitoring Guidance Values Work Group. It's headed up by some of our colleagues in Canada and Japan. And they are currently soliciting additional colleagues, but the idea is to bring together those who are doing biomonitoring. Many of the members are actually from government agencies to work on harmonizing recommendations for different biomarker kind of guidance values, you know, if you think about PFAS or something like that. And they currently have been meeting at our annual meetings in the past, having workshops, and are really excited to now be a work group within ISES. They're on our website. They were planning on having their first meeting, and they're having a virtual meeting this October. They had a pre-conference workshop on Saturday, so hopefully some of you join them. And then they're hosting a symposium you can see on PFAS as a case study tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific time. But we're really excited about them. We're hoping this is something that could be built out as we think more as a society of something that could be a member benefit. Imagine if you could access these harmonized biomonitoring guidances, or at least see all the ones from different parts of the world in one spot behind our membership wall. It could be something that could really become a big, interesting new area for ISES to consider, similar to the ACGH TLVs or something like that. So we're super excited about them. They're excited. If you're interested in learning more about them, you can email myself or Sarah and we'll get you in touch. I can't do the chat and do the slides at the same time. So I'm hoping.
Paloma, this.
Yes.
Hi, Paloma, this is June. I think we never discussed how we're going to do with the content like during the year. Are we still going to open this registration for someone who wants to access the content, but they don't register for the meeting? So at a lower price, can we do that? Or we haven't discussed this before.
I don't know what we're talking about. Are we talking about the courses or the human?
No, the meeting.
The meeting, I don't know. I think that would be a good thing to think about. So they would register as a member to the conference, but
they can have access to the conference content, right? Because the content will be there for a year.
It requires an extra API. We'd have to discuss that at a board meeting, I think, or an EC meeting.
Yeah. So I have my guest has returned. And but so yeah, I think we can figure out that. That's a great idea, June. If there's interest, let us know and we will work on developing that at our next meeting. So Brian, are you going to give us your vision for? Brian is our president-elect, and he will be our next president starting in 2021, and he's going to give us his vision for what he hopes to work on next.
Yeah, thanks, Paloma. I have no vision, really. To introduce myself briefly, and first just thank you guys for electing me as president, or at least I think I should thank you. I don't know, we'll see how it goes next year. Maybe I wish I wasn't doing this, but it should be good. But I work for the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, and I've been working in this field for about 25 or so years. I've been a member of the society since late 90s, so been fairly involved. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of years and to see what we can do together. So really, for my vision, it isn't so much a big grand vision or anything. Paloma and others did a great job in coming up with a strategic plan, and I don't plan to stray too much from that. I think it's meant to be a 5-year plan, and in order for that to happen, we got to start working on it. So we've got these ideas, but now we need to implement them. So, but it's, as you saw when Paloma went over them earlier in the meeting, there's a lot there, and I think to get things done, we need to chunk it out a bit and focus. And so the two main areas I would like to focus on are goals 2 and 4, and largely because of some of the stuff that's been said already about our membership numbers and our revenue and things like that. So I think by focusing broadly on just those 2 goals, and I haven't really given it too much thought of which specific pieces below those goals we would work on, but I'm open to ideas. And some of these ideas have already been shared in this meeting, so that's great. And then related to that, since my focus is occupational health research, I work for NIOSH, which is, that's our mandate. I feel like this society has always been very well represented on the environmental side. We do have occupational health people in it, occupational exposure assessors. But I think that's an area we could improve on in terms of developing or broadening our scope and maybe outreach as well. There is other societies that are more devoted to that kind of topic, like the American Industrial Hygiene Association and their conference. But if you're a scientist and doing exposure science, this is where you should be. And there's a lot of industrial hygienists who are scientists. And, I've been to those conferences many times, but they're much more heavier on sort of the practice of industrial hygiene and not as much as the science of exposure assessment. So I would like to try to bring some occupational health focus to the society in general. And as you probably all are aware, exposure assessment science really had a lot of its beginnings in occupational health. Some of the early work, when this field was just beginning, was done by occupational people trying to work on occupational health issues. So if I'm going to have any sort of grand vision or idea for the next couple of years, it will be this occupational health focus. And I look forward to working with everyone. If you ever have any ideas, any questions, any suggestions, any comments, criticisms, you feel free to email me. I believe my contact information is on the website. So thank you. And if there's any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Brian? So we want to, I agree. I like the occupational health angle too. I do a lot of that work as well. So Jonathan has said that he's excited about that. Sorry, my intern is here now. So we want to thank our outgoing board members. Leslie has been serving as secretary. Paul has been serving as academic conciliar. Marcia for government conciliar. Jonathan as our private sector conciliar, as well as Karen Galea as our private sector conciliar, and Jamaji as our student conciliar. We're excited to hear where you're all going and excited to hear what steps are next. I think, can we stop sharing now? I want to see everybody's faces that I can. I know we've gone late, and I know it's late for many of you, but I'm happy to stay here with my intern and chat about good news. I would love to, catch up with people who want to sit around and catch up if they can. But I want to shout out to my former student, Yoshi. I'm sorry, I'm going to take advantage to brag here, who got her first NIH grant on Friday, and she's now a postdoc at USC, where Rima is, and Jill Johnson's postdoc. So any other exciting news like that anybody wants to share?
I just want to say congrats, Yoshi. We're so proud of you.
Video of like workout gear, and I also have a dog again. So I've been
wow, you sound like RoboCop.
Thank you.
Javi's very excited. He spent a lot of time with Yoshi. Anybody else have some news you want to share? Nothing?
Can we wish Dana a happy early birthday if she's still here?
Whoa, if Dana's still here, happy early birthday.
We got an Environmental Health Disparities Center renewed, so we're very excited.
Oh, that's exciting.
And Yoshi's with us.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's great news. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
We got to celebrate everything we can these days in coronavirus land. So does anybody else have news they want to share with us? Don't be shy. This is your ISES family. We'd normally be mingling around the student posters right now. Well, thank you all for joining. We know the meeting went long. Feel free to share and chat. It sounds like we're going to be able to interact nicely. I'm so glad we did this meeting live. We were debating whether or not to just do it pre-recorded, and I'm so glad we did it live and got a chance to connect. The chat was awesome. Seeing all your faces has been great. I'm sorry you're getting to see my intern, but it's life. Don't
be sorry. This is great. Javi is so cute.
6 months here on every Zoom call, so he's just really bummed when the newscasters don't wave back at him. So if you feel like waving to him, you can. But we love seeing you all, and it's great. And I'm excited about the conference. And it's been a great time as your president. I'm sad to see the time winding down, but I know that I'm leaving it in great hands with Brian stepping up. He's been a great addition to the executive committee.
And thanks, Paloma. I'd like to just thank you for your 2 years of, well, I guess after next year, and if you count the president-elect year, it'd be 4 years of service in the executive committee. So yeah, I mean, I think we all owe you a big round of applause for the two years of your stewardship for ISES. Thank you. And I have big shoes to fill.
Thank you, Brian. That's great. It's been a pleasure. See you all in the platform.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Javi.
You're going to say bye-bye to everybody? He's still waving at everybody. It's his favorite part.